Hello, I'm Dr. Helen Crompton, and I'm here to talk to you about evaluating research. So research we may see as something very distant from what we do in our classroom, our school, our district, but it's really important to educators. In fact, whenever you make decisions, for example, you've got a classroom of students learning about basic addition in mathematics. You need to think about the best way of doing that. You don't want to waste your time or the students' time doing things that are not going to work. It's really good if you can find out, okay, what has been proven to work? It's actually quite a difficult one sometimes. In fact, it's been called the quest for the Holy Grail. Trying to find the right strategy and being sure that it really works for our students. So researchers, and they don't all look like that. We go into the classrooms, we actually ask questions, we look at the data and find out what's really going on. So how do you find what research is accurate and what is not? If you think about digital citizenship, with students, you're often saying to them, okay, when you go on the web, look at what there is there. Think about evaluating, critically analysing what you're seeing and what is true. It's not always easy. For example, you might have seen more of the obvious things like the best interactive web tools for educators. You may realise that this is probably a little bit biased on the part of this person and they see them as the best tools, but maybe they're actually not. However, it can get a little bit difficult. For example, this has been highly used. This kind of looks a bit technical with all sorts of different writing and lines everywhere. You might recognise down the side the percentages. Let me go to another one, another image which is just the same as that, but a little bit easier to see for what we're looking for here. So you might recognise this. They call it the learning pyramid or the learning cone. And it's basically saying, okay, when students learn through lecture, they remember about 5% of what they've been lectured. Reading 10%, audiovisual 20%, demonstration 30%, and it goes right up to 75% for practicing doing and 90% when they teach others or immediate use. So that looks very academic, especially when you went to the last one. And this has been used, in fact, Dale wrote this, I think actually, it said 1969, but I think he did it as well in 1940s. This has been used since then. It's got percentages, it looks kind of very academic, people widely recognise it. Funny enough, this is not actually accurate. Someone thought through this and it actually works kind of nicely for what we believe learning is all about, but this is actually not proven. So this might not be accurate. This is just someone's perception. I'll give you an example of one of mine. So for recreation time, I think relaxing and thinking is about 10% of what people choose, participating in sports 20%, reading 30%, watching TV, think about all the binge watching on Netflix, I've got that 70%, eating out 90%, maybe I'm biased towards eating out, but we could arguably say that's what people spend their recreational time doing. But we can't. This isn't actual real data that's been proven. These are just coming up with things, and like I said, sometimes a takeoff, like a bit like the fake news, that we put something out there and people think, oh, I can connect to that, that seems right. So how do we know what is right and what's wrong? Or what is not proven? So there's a process called peer review. What happens is we have researchers like these guys over there with the lab coats and ones without lab coats looking for something, studying something. Then they go to their computers and write it all up. and with all the data, they see what there is and write it down. Then they send it to an editor. The editor looks and thinks, this looks interesting. I will send it out to other experts here to review it and tell me if everything's accurate, whether this is true and whether this is something that's found from research and is, absolutely definite. So they look through, and if they agree, it goes to be published. Voila. So they are published peer-reviewed journal articles. So this article here is not just someone thinking about something. It has been checked by experts in the field to make sure that the researchers did what they were supposed to do, followed the ethics, followed everything they were supposed to do in order, and published correctly. So these type of articles are the ones that are factual. So what do they look like? So they typically have a kind of format. They will have, for example, this one here. You'll see it's published in a journal, like volume numbers and things like that, page numbers. It'll have the author's credentials there that you could possibly check by clicking on them. It'll have an abstract, an introduction, and carrying on there, it'll have a few other pieces such as methodology, in other words, how they've conducted the research, what they've found, conclusions, discussion. It's an academic article. Now, you can find things like this published, but they do have to say the article name, the journal name, because that is them saying, yes, we believe this is absolutely accurate. So these type of articles are the ones you need to be looking for. Sometimes people can publish outside with a kind of an easier format to read, but they'll always point it back to the original source, which should be something like this. So this is peer-reviewed, and the other things that you find on the web with the numbers and things, they're non-peer-reviewed. So I hope that helps.